Welcome to Nugget 145 with Steve Groman. Steve, why don't you tell us about who we will be talking to today?
Today we're with a man who works for a major gas and oil corporation. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you, Brother Groman?
Well, so far so good. So tell us what it is you do and how long and all that kind of thing.
I've been with this corporation for 15 years. 15 years. Started when I was 20. It's called gas measurement. Side of it, where we measure the flow of gas that goes through the pipelines. Moved into automation, where they, radios and PLCs and know the electrical side of it. So I help out there too. So a little bit of everything.
So are you in office things if they have issues and in the field or both? Or
Yes, sir. There's times when I'm in the office, and then I like to spend more time out in the field.
I imagine.
I'm not much for the office. It's pretty neat being out there working in the wilderness.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen? Or is there anything special that kind of stands out?
One time I was working out by Colorado, and big black bear. He probably weighed 400 or 500 pounds. He was
nice.
A big old boar. Came and crawled up on the pump jack. There was a fence around the pumping unit on the actual weights and the horse's head, but the motor part and stuff was exposed, and he had crawled up and put his front paws on the motor. And
That's funny.
That was pretty neat.
He was nosy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to eat there.
No.
Don't want to sleep up there necessarily.
Yeah, and there's been some pretty neat things.
That's funny. Did he hang out a while?
He hung out for probably 5 minutes, and he knew I was there. I was about 50 yards away, and I got out of my pickup to take pictures and kind of get closer to him. And he kind of turned and took a couple steps toward me, and I just got back in the truck. That was a big black bear.
That's funny. That's cool. If anything concerning the electronics or the electric malfunctions, you repair it?
Yes, out in the field, they're making oil and they're making water and they're making gas. Vessels are being pressured up. All of those can lead to dangerous scenarios. Environmental hazards where, water can be spilled, oil can be spilled. And so they have automation to protect from those things. Stuff that tells you how much fluid is in the tank, how much pressure is on the vessel. And it's more than just a gauge. It goes back to a PLC, a programmable logic controller, which is taking all these things and performing functions to what it, if pressure gets too high, it does this, or if the levels get too high, it does that. And then it goes through a radio system, which goes back to a server, which can call out operators if the levels are too high or pressures are high. It warns them of anything going on, anything that's out of the ordinary, that it lets them know what's going on, and I work on those systems.
When they see it, can they either shut it down from there, or can they increase it from there? Can they try to modify it, put a Band-Aid on it until a crew gets out?
I mean, several things can happen, depends on the scenario, but a lot of times I can get in and shut the location down from the house, open valves, now that's for the newer facilities. A lot of these facilities have been here for a long time, stuff built back in the 90s that they haven't upgraded. You're just going to have to go out there and work on it.
And how long does it take to get a crew together? Like 2 a.m, something happens.
Is
there always somebody ready, or is it?
It depends. That also depends on the hazard. A lot of times the operator will go out by himself. We work alone a lot of times. It's pretty, especially on the side that I'm on, the new construction, the crews, they'll work a lot during the day. But when you're getting called out at night, unless it's a big emergency, you just go out there by yourself. I work a lot by myself, and so do the rest of the guys.
And usually things are fixable?
They are. Yeah, it's a lot of times it's shut in if your pumps aren't working, and you're not pulling the tank level down as fast as you need to be, because sometimes I have 4 or 5 pumps running, and say one of them goes down, the pumper will go out and he'll shut down his big water makers, and then they'll go back in the morning.
It's a balancing act.
Yes, keeping things running as best as you can, how to work best with it.
Do you notice any difference with the new administration versus the old administration as far as what's going on out there?
The new administration shut down drilling, is not allowing them to get these companies to get new drilling permits. And so it really definitely cut down on the traffic flow out here. These roads used to be just lined with people making good money.
Really?
Making good money.
Really?
The economy, that's the economy flowing. People making money. Well, when the drilling stops, that stops the new construction. That just doesn't hurt the rigs. It hurts the construction guys that are out there building these locations.
Right.
And
food places and housing places.
Hotel. Man, the oil field is it is the lifeblood of the economy. It really is. And when that drilling stops and there's an administration that is hostile towards oil and gas, it really hurts the economy. Really hurts. People make a living out here to put food on their table, and it really really hurts.
Right. Well, I know we're not in I don't know how they call this, a small town. It's a fairly decent sized city, but just driving around, to me, it kind of almost feels like small town USA because of the traffic. There's just not a lot.
Towns in this area go up and down with the oil field. When there's a lot of drilling, these churches, you can tell they're in church. I mean, a lot of people come up from Louisiana, Oklahoma, men that know the oil field. There's oil field over there.
Right.
And this area that we're at right now, it is a major, major oil and gas producer. We produce more oil and gas here than anywhere in America. There's a lot of men and families moving in here, men and women. Moving in here, and you'll watch the churches explode. I'm a pastor, so I know that's how I gauge it. You can watch the men coming in and the women coming in and families coming in, and then when the oil price goes down or they stop the drilling like they've done, they go back home to Oklahoma, Louisiana, wherever.
Well,
so yeah.
How long does it take to get? No, I guess it can't be now because there's no permit. But I mean, when the things are going, somebody's going to put a well here. How long does it take from the idea, this is where it ought to go, to where the thing is producing? Do you know?
They've got it down to a fine art. They've got to get the permit. They've got to get the rig out there, drill. They've got to frack and start producing, build the pipeline, build the facility, eventually tap it into the pipeline. You're looking at just probably a couple months at least.
That's not bad.
Couple, 3
That's not bad, though.
They've got it down. These crews,
I bet they do.
These crews
Clockwork.
are fast. They know exactly what they're doing.
I can imagine, especially if it's if it is the largest producer in the country in this area.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what they're doing.
Well, the company that I was working for were at one time, they were popping one hole a week.
Wow.
At one time, they were up here, and one well a week was being turned on.
Wow.
Turned on.
How deep are they, as a general rule?
It depends on what formation you're going. I'm not really a down the hole guy. The wells around here, I think they're like 8,000 feet.
You're on the electrical side.
I'm on the electrical side. I haven't messed a whole lot with it, but there's different depths. There's different formations that they want to hit.
Your division, whatever, do y'all lay the electrical wires to get the electricity to the facility, the pump jack in the first place?
Yeah, so we've got power companies that, they've got power plants, and they'll usually run it. We own big lease, 40, 50 wells. They'll run power to the edge of that area, that lease. And then we will run the power poles. We'll get the power poles. We'll lay it all out. We'll run the wire all the way down to the box, get a crew. We lay the wire in the ground up to wherever we need to have the power. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty neat work, man.
It must be.
It
must
is.
be. And what about accidents on your side? Do y'all have much of that?
No, you know what? It's right before I moved up here, we had a young man get killed, but it was a power line incident. These oilfield companies are so safety conscientious. People think that the oilfield's so dangerous. There's not a whole lot of fatality.
Not anymore.
They're really safe. If you don't feel comfortable, shut the job down. I have authority. Everybody has authority from the top to the bottom. It's not a big shot's call anymore. If the new guy walking on location feels that something's unsafe, he has the authority, and they pound it into these guys. You have the authority to stop work.
That's good.
Saying, I don't feel comfortable. And now they may say, okay, buddy, why don't you go back to the office until you can learn and figure out what's going on, and then we'll pick up work. But everybody has the authority to say, I don't feel comfortable, let's stop.
That's actually good.
Used to not be that way.
Right. I can imagine.
No, used to not be that way.
I think this is a great place to stop, and we will pick up in our next nugget with the conclusion of our interview. Thank you.